is Book Talk Real Talk. Today we're going over chapters 37 through 40.
All credit to Sarah J Maas. She is our queen, and we do not know anything, so don't take us too seriously.
Don't take us seriously.
Yeah, and join our Girl Talk as we book talk our way through our favorite book. Cliff Notes. What are the Cliff Notes?
Let me actually get to the right chapter, so I can actually know what I'm doing. But this is... We're getting to the good stuff. I'm so excited. This is like, we're finally at the part of the book where this was the part when I was reading, I sped through this. I want to say the next 100, almost 200 pages, I flew through these. When I was going back, I had to underline so much because I had nothing marked. So I'm so excited. Okay, chapter 37. The Autumn Soldiers meet as...
Ooh, yep.
So I wrote that down, and then I wrote just more Nessian moments. I don't know how else to describe it, so I just put more Nessian moments, and then talk about the mask and its power.
Which I think is so cool.
So cool. Like, this was probably one of the coolest parts of...
So cool.
Oh, I love this. And then I just put, more conversations. Chapter 37. Okay.
All right. What do you got on the next page?
On the next page, all I did is I just, like, just my little heart around Cassian's name because I just love him so much. Let's see. Yeah. So, only the knowledge that Nesta slept safely in a bedroom in Rhys's palace above the mountain, warded by his high lord's power, allowed Cassian to remain in his room. Oh, it's so sweet, because he would have been by her side through all of this, but he was like, I can give her this space, and she needs this time. And I guess context for a new episode is she just went through the whole thing with the Kelpie, right? She put the mask on. Crazy ending. And so now we're in the new sign of this. Autumn soldiers are now...
They're being interrogated.
Yeah, Mr.
I thought it was really cool, and I underlined, like, they must have been under some sort of enchantment, right? So their only drive seems to be harm without reason, without context. Which is kind of just like another, like, okay, clearly they were not in their right minds. Like, you know? And then also, like, in the bottom, like, they're like rabid dogs, lost to insanity. And then also, I think Cassian, to explain, like, there was no intelligence, just, like, a desire to kill. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's for sure. Because at first I was like... I don't know, I felt like it was weird that they were there, and why did they just randomly attack them? Like, for what? But yeah, that was kind of cool to hear about.
I do like that Fair comes right out and is like, is it okay for us to be hurting these people who don't know what they're doing? Because that was my first thought, too. At first, I was like, I kind of knew, like, I didn't guess it was a spell, but part of me was like, I feel like they're put there for a reason, and they're under some sort of influence of some sort, whether it's, I don't know what it is, but, so I kind of guessed that much.
I forgot that the crown can do that. What could have done that to them?
Right.
You know, what could have made them like act like that? But then I like went back to read. I was like, oh, is it one of the dread troves? And then I went back to read it, and then it made a lot more sense. But
yeah, anyways, Farrah was like, well, you guys are just justifying this, like, fine. So I'm kind of surprised she was just like, okay,
that's how you wish to justify.
Like, fine. You guys have your fun. Like,
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, and then Farrah said they needed Helion for the next visit. And then you have to break the spell, which is really cool. Another cool thing about Helion, because I'm trying to remember all the cool facts about different people. Because again, the first few books, you're just thrown in with all these characters. You forget
so many different characters.
Honestly, when they brought up Helion, nothing came to my head.
Still introducing characters.
Yeah. But remember when I read Helion the first time in this book, nothing came to my head. I'm like, I cannot tell you what this guy looks like. I don't remember. I don't even know what court he's from. But that's expected, I guess. That's normal. But the end of 375... Let's see. Oh my word. So cute. Okay, I wanted to note this whole line because I loved it from a writing perspective. I loved it from a reader's perspective. It was so cute. So, this the third paragraph to the end. But Farrah, Cassian knew, had been aware of what she'd see before entering, and well aware that these 10 minutes had only been the opening movements in a symphony of pain that Azriel could conduct with brutal efficiency. Such a cute thing, although they're literally talking about torture, but
like good, like descriptive imagery.
It's very good descriptive imagery. And it's he can do no wrong, so whatever.
Exactly.
He can torture all he wants. It's fine. And then like we're not gonna tell Eris about this. Next page.
Oh, that was sad, like thinking like, you know how they have the two males have families who are worried about them.
I know.
It was just like I kind of humanized them because I was like, well, who cares? Just torture.
It's like they're best. But I like that Cassian was the one that thought this.
Yeah.
Like Nesta mentioned, like he has such a heart, and even though he's literally a general who's done this so many times, that
like stayed with him.
Yeah.
For a long time.
So cute. That's why I think of the guys that are almost like the golden retriever ones who like had sad pasts. I'm like, oh, But the fact that you can still be like happy and like adorable
like,
and having gone through all that.
He didn't let it like affect his life, but like that came up a few times of him being like, I can't believe I had to do that.
Yeah, even that sentence right there. Every death had a weight, sent a ripple into the world, into time. It was too easy to forget that. Yeah. And then. Yeah. Although that was kind of interesting because then right after that, he glanced to Az, but his brother's face was stone cold. If Az regretted what he'd done, he'd revealed no hint of it. I thought it was kind of fascinating that he said if, because then I wonder if Az views these things differently. Like, do you think the guys, because I would think like they're brothers, they've talked about everything they've been through and how hard it is and scary and sad, but it's like, it is Az's role. So I wonder if a part of Cassian, maybe that's why a lot of them are scared of him. Because Azriel's like, a lot of people are scared of me. Maybe because they're like, he's quiet, but also, we don't know if he regrets what he does. But to me, I see it as he does.
Me too.
Because he's the dark, like, I feel like he would be the kind of person who would take the pain so that no one else had to.
I think that it affects him. It honestly might affect him, like, the most.
Oh, yeah, probably.
But he just doesn't. He probably just deals with it differently. And, like, I'm sure he kind of thinks, like, it is my job, though. Yeah. So, like...
I see it kind of how, like, Reese sees things, too. Like, I'd rather do it so no one else has to do it. That's how I saw it, too. But...
I think all those guys are kind of...
Like exactly. They all definitely are. But I like the aspect of, because he has these shadows that are whispering things to him, like, I'm so fascinated. I need to read his book. I cannot wait. Because I wonder if they almost push him to be that he's like... When I'm torturing, I'm gonna like listen to the shadows and I'm gonna do the bad things, blah blah blah. But when he's by himself,
the shadows are like taking over.
But like he says, when he's around certain like women and stuff, and the shadows like retreat. He even said around Nesta, I believe he said, but the shadows were like still, or like they weren't as present or something. As, like, noisy. Yeah, I was like, huh, interesting. That is really then like, does he become more like softer? And I don't know. It's
kind of like Nesta's darkness.
Exactly. That's why I'm like Nesta and Az. I need that friendship. Similar. I need more stories of them like fighting together. So adorable.
Yeah. And then, do you have any more on that page?
Just at the bottom, because I thought it was cute, but he was like, oh yeah, so it said Nesta welcomed everyone in, and then she scanned their faces as if looking for someone, but then when Cassian stepped into the room, her eyes settled on him. So cute. I just love them so much.
That was really cute. And like on the, following that, like on 377, when she was like checking for injuries. Yes, I underlined that too. As if you were the one with the brutalized mouth, neck marked by claws, calves, and shins lacerated. Is that how you say that? Her wounds had stopped bleeding, already scabbing, but Cauldron, damn him, he couldn't stand the sight of one bruise on her.
So cute. I love this moment. So cute. But I just love that she did the same thing. She like checked him. She's like, "Are you okay? Are you fine?" Just checking. So that's my favorite. Is I think same thing in Fourth Wing. There were moments like that. Where she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "You're
the one that I should be asking."
Like, you almost died.
Yeah,
what are you talking
I should be asking you.
So cute.
And then I just thought it was interesting, like, when, I don't know who said this, but you're lucky to have been able to pry it from your face. Most of those who have worn it can never remove it. Because I kind of forgot about that.
Me too. When I was rereading this, I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, think about that power. And think about, technically, if Az and Cass saw her with the mask on, they were just like, oh my god, like, she's dead. Yeah. Right? Like,
and then Nesta was like, I wished it to let it go, and it did.
That's so cool. Crazy. Like, that power is like no other. She just said, oh, it's just like, you can go now.
I'm going to be so interested to see, like, in the next book, now that, because she gave the cauldron it back.
Yeah. Like, I know, I'm so curious as to what is, like, left.
What is that going to look like now?
What her power is, but what she gave back. Yeah. Because like, it still says...
She still has some.
Yeah, like calls to like. They say that all the time.
She said it in the next line.
Literally right there. But she was still made. And what aspect of... Because Elaine is still the whatever, seer or whatever.
Yeah.
I assume Nesta's still death. I still see her that way. I think she gave something back, but I don't think that it took that title. I'm just curious,
like, how is that going to look like for her now that she gave that back?
Yeah, and then in that paragraph too, it says only one made from the same dark source can wear the mask and not be ruled by it.
I realized that too.
So I think even though she gave whatever back to the cauldron, she's still made from that dark source. Yeah. So I think no matter what, she can always.
I don't think you can ever take that back. Like you can't take.
Yeah, how she was made.
Yeah, how you're made.
Mm-hmm. And that's why later on in the book she finished, right? So no spoilers, but when Brian Allen puts on the mask too, she could take it off. Or no, wait, she doesn't put on the mask. But the crown, because all three of them have the same like idea of if maid can use them.
That's right.
Kind of interesting.
That's right.
So
I think that the Dreadcrow stuff is so cool.
And again, I keep thinking sometimes I'm like meh about Elaine in this whole book. I'm still like But Elaine has all these qualities too, and she can see the future. Why is she not?
And we have not heard about this.
Yeah, and why is she not more useful? Like, I'm sorry, you're telling me this entire book she never once was like,
right?
Or maybe she has been telling Farrah like, Farrah, everything's gonna work out. Nesta's gonna be fine. Let her do this crying. Like, I wonder if she's like maybe like secretly the puppeteer behind the scenes.
Couldn't she have seen that Farrah was gonna end up being okay after like the birth?
I don't know. I don't know if she can control it. You know,
that's what I'm wondering. Like. Because couldn't she have been like, it's gonna be okay?
Yeah, like I see a future with a child. I'm assuming you're fine. Yeah.
Relax, right? Because like I think if she could have seen that, she would have told Rhys that, and then Rhys would have not been as freaked out.
Unless there's some form of it of like, oh, but if Elaine interferes, it'll affect whatever.
Could be.
I don't know.
Could be. Anyways.
I just marked at the top. It said if the cauldron had been destroyed, Farrah said with a shiver, then life would have ceased to exist. Mm-hmm. Which to me, just more details about the cauldron, because I think that's so interesting. Because again, it's this kind of like evil thing with all this bad stuff, but then life wouldn't exist without it. Right. So part of me wonders, like, even though the cauldron went after Nesta and like, so it was scary to her and it took it, it never like threatened to kill her.
Right.
Like they kept saying it was going. So I'm like, what if the cauldron's not as bad as we think it is?
I know.
But because it's so powerful that everyone freaks out, and
it's like too powerful. Yeah, it's like scary.
Exactly. And like even when Nesta had that nightmare or whatever, it was so terrible and blah blah blah. But if it was just trying to take something back and she was fighting it, maybe that's what made it worse more than the actual cauldron.
Like
maybe the cauldron's just maybe the actual cauldron isn't as like terrible as we think it is. It's just very terrible in this book. They're like, whoa.
Yeah. In the middle, I thought this was kind of sad. When she was like, I failed at the most basic of them while training with Aaron, right? Or remember? And then Farrah was like, is that what you think, Nesta? That you failed? I was just like, okay, finally that they're kind of, I don't know, they're kind of realizing that failure
I'm like,
is kind of her biggest insecurity here.
Exactly. And, But it's true, she did not mention that one. Like, she's mentioned a lot of her insecurities kind of to other people, but she had not mentioned failure. And you know me, I loved it. I underlined that whole thing. I thought it was so sweet.
Of course.
I was like, I love that someone noticed for once, because I feel like even if Nesta didn't want it noticed, I'm sure at some point she would feel seen by that. Yeah. So even though she straightened but it said Aunt Cassian's chest tightened at the wall that rose in her eyes. So I like how he noticed it right away. He was like, oh, she wants to block this off. She doesn't want to talk about this. But yes, it's noticed. It's seen. And whether she wants it seen or not. So she brushes by. She said, it doesn't matter. And then she moves on. But I think they took a little too long to kind of ask Nesta, like, what's the deal? And I understand if Nesta didn't want to talk, but just like look at what she's done. Like they didn't even ask her why she doesn't want to scry. Not really. I mean, she kind of mentioned she was like freaked out and didn't want to risk it.
I feel like they just more assumed than anything.
Exactly. They already think she's so bad in their minds that they're like, oh, she doesn't want to do this. She's terrible. She doesn't want to do this because blah blah blah. And so I thought that was so sweet on Farrah's side. Like her head tilted. And she was like, is that what you think? I was like, aw.
I know that the head tilt too.
I know.
I think that was a good that was kind of like a good description.
That was
because
perfect.
It was kind of like okay, like it was like I don't know. She felt a little bit more like she understood Nesta. Like that's kind of what I got.
And for a second, she was actually like, "Whoa, maybe she's not as terrible as you think she is." Crazy.
And I loved when Rhys was like setting Cassian's mind. You wear your heart for all to see, brother.
So cute.
I thought that was so adorable. It was just like I love that Rhys can like see Cassian's heart and like has known him for so long that it's just like I don't know. I think their whole friendship is just the cutest thing ever. So cute,
such a cute family.
Like, I think it's so innocent that he can like say it in Cassian's brain or like in his mind. So like nobody can see. He didn't even need to look at Cassian. He was just like your heart is big and we can all see it. And I thought that was so cute.
Because I can always see these scenes with everyone just standing there being still, and then you just see Cassian like like stop making this so obvious.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and then Aaron said, you look like a cat tried to eat your face off. And then Cassian was, like, defending Nesta.
So cute.
Oh, and you smell like a swamp. And Cassian was defending Nesta, saying, being dragged through a bog will do that to you. And just, like, I don't know. So I think it's cool. Like, he's like the one person that, like,
I know.
Like, verbally defends her.
Oh, I forgot this part. Right before you said you wear your heart for all to see. The sentence before that was so adorable. It said, Nesta rolled her eyes and the gesture was so normal. The Cassian smile became more genuine. Edge now with relief. Yeah. That's so adorable. He's like, okay, like she's not broken from this. Like she can still roll her eyes at me. So cute.
Nesta's still in there.
Oh, I love. And then so all my hearts are just in the bottom half of that page. Just
love
all of it. I don't know. Should I just read it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so a couple short paragraphs. Cassian didn't dare say that he'd only been gone 30 minutes. 30 minutes Because so she's like, I went to find you.
Yep.
Cassian didn't dare say that he'd only been gone 30 minutes. 30 minutes and she'd been in a panic like that. We wouldn't have left you, he said carefully. I wasn't afraid of being left. I was afraid both of you were dead. That she kept emphasizing both of you tightened his chest. He knew what she was carefully avoiding saying. She'd been worried enough and that she'd ventured into Urid's perils for him. But the fact that he noticed it, because for a while he's been like, she doesn't want me, she hasn't initiated anything.
I feel like, in the beginning he would have been like, both of you, like, oh, she doesn't even care about
Right,
me.
he would have totally thought that.
Yeah.
But it's so sweet. Like, he knows her so well to the point that she did that for me. Oh, so cute. And I could just see Cassian's happy little heart.
The both part.
I know, he just went, I love you too. It's that.
He would have never said that, but that would have just been kind of like a.
No, I love.
She didn't even need to say it, but he knew it. You know.
I like that Office clip where he goes, "I just want to be friends," and Electra, "Plus I love you." I always think of that when I think of these like guys that are so in love, but they're just like, "I'm gonna wait for the girl."
Yeah, I think it would have just been kind of like a sweet moment. Like it's like Nesta's language, right? Like he has to learn how to speak Nesta's language. But even when he challenges her on some of it, she just kind of will roll her eyes, and he just loves that. He's like, yes.
That's her responding to me. Because she could be quiet and not do anything, but guys, they just like to get reactions out of their girls. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Are you on 380 now?
Yeah. Okay. They just talk about the Kelpie and the language, which I don't know if that's relevant. That was just kind of a random detail. And what it said. It's cool how they communicated with each other. Oh, but then Amren describes what the Kelpie said and all this creepy stuff of like,
so
gross.
I was so, like, when she was in the water like that, I was so confused why he like was doing that. I thought that was so out of pocket.
Yeah, I thought it was so weird and random. I figured it was preserving her for something, but it was just so nasty.
I was like, oh, is he actually like trying to save her?
Right.
By like, breathing into her mouth? But
I know.
Then I was like, that is just gross.
But then right after that, it's like, Nesta touched her face and recoiled, then horror slid through Cassian, then molten rage.
Yeah. And then like,
which I'm sure Reese noticed too.
Oh, for sure.
So cute.
At the bottom, when like they said they rape and torment, but they do not reproduce. I thought that was so interesting. Like,
it's so random.
I think I'm just not picturing the Kelpie. Like,
really, I can picture it because it's like a really creepy. I don't know. I'm good at picturing creepy stuff because I make things worse in my head. I'm really good at that.
And so I can raping underwater. And
I'm thinking weird, like,
I'm thinking this really
pale
reptile
thing. I think it's like those creepy, like, white, skinny, nasty thing that, that kind of looks human, but not really, and eat the people. I don't know.
It's so weird.
But it was interesting because it says, they were made, legend says, by the hand of a cruel god and deposited throughout the waters of this land. The Kelpie you slew girl was perhaps one of the last. Oh. I just marked the hand of a cruel god part because I wonder if maybe this is... Because people talk a lot about foreshadowing between ACOTAR and Throne of Glass and stuff, and I know there's a lot of like otherworldly stuff. So I kind of marked that. I'm marking stuff that potentially like, oh, is this maybe in a different book they mentioned some cool god that created these creepy creatures or something. So I'm like, it's open for interpretation. And then this break is so cute because Cassian says, all right, let Lady Death get some rest. She goes, that's not funny. And he winked at her as everyone else tensed. And he goes, I think it's catchy. She glowered, but it was a human expression. And he'd take that any day over that silver fire, over the being who had walked on water and commanded a legion of the dead. He wondered if Nesta would agree, which I thought was interesting too. That ending of he wondered if she thinks the same thing.
That was really cute.
But that was so cute. It's like, really I think it's catchy. So everyone's so tense in these moments. Yeah, and I love that.
What is Nesta gonna say? Like,
I feel like every intense moment with Nesta.
Needs that, though. She needs that like push. Like,
it's the perfect trope. I love it so much. I love that everyone's freaked out and whatever. And he'll just make a joke and she's like, whatever. Yeah. And everyone is just like, tenses. Why? Like, is this okay? Like they're waiting for her to like kill him one day. Yeah. Like it's gonna happen.
Like before, or like a little bit before that, even I thought it was really interesting that she was like, I was trying to reach for my power, and this is what answered.
Yes.
That was so cool.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Here, I have this terrible pen. But...
Gross.
I know. Did you see?
Justine, what is this?
Did you see the pen with no ink? My good pen is no ink.
No, I have a pen. I'm not judged. Oh, my pen's over here. Phew.
But I thought that was so interesting. So, like, the mask is her power. right? Like,
or things
like,
things answer to her looking for her power.
So like, what is that power? You know what I mean? Like,
and is it still there now that the cauldron took it back? That's what I'm most fascinated by, is what part of her power is still there.
Yeah.
Because things like this, it's like, what else could she summon if you think about it, right? I do think
she summoned that. She was reaching for her power, and that's what came.
I just saw a post on Instagram that someone said they were rating who they think the most powerful, like, Sarah J Maas characters were. A lot of them were Throne of Glass, so obviously I didn't know. But Nesta was like 3 or 4, and I was like, whoa, throughout all of her characters?
That's insane.
That is so insane, and I love it, because I'm like, again, from the beginning, I knew she was something. Although, I was reading the first book, and I was like, oh, how's it going? Like, update me on everything. She said, well, you know, they're all poor and sucks, and her sisters are just terrible. And I was like, yeah, just move past that. Just keep going. I'm gonna ignore that you said that, because they were quite bad at the beginning.
I love seeing the ones where they're like, I'm gonna marry Tamlin, I'm gonna get Tamlin tattooed on me, and then we're all like, ha ha.
Tamlin tattoo girl.
Yeah, I saw one where it was like, if somebody ever says that they're gonna get a Tamlin tattoo, let it happen, because it's a canon event.
That's so terrible. And I'm like, honestly, if you're that impulsive of a person,
yeah, you deserve it.
One of my friends was reading it, and she's like, I don't understand. I will never like Rhys. I only like Tamlin.
I thought that too in the
beginning. And I said, I'm gonna record you saying that. So I took a video of her saying, I love Tamlin. I will never like Tamlin. Within 2 days, she texts me, and she's, damn it.
That's actually so funny. Well, because I was like, how is she gonna make this?
That's what I thought too. I was like,
because I knew Rhys was gonna be a good guy.
I didn't know he was gonna be good. I just knew she was gonna. Everyone
liked him.
I knew he
was because I saw like kind of spoilers of like Feyre and Rhys.
See, I knew there were a couple, but I thought he could be terrible. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyways, okay.
So after the break, Nesta was too tired, so she decided to stay at the Hewn City. Yeah. Even though she's like, but the house would have taken such good care of her, like a nursemaid. I just love that. I love the house. You know me.
The house is the best.
Which is all the symbolism of that later. Now that you finished it, I am obsessed. We'll go back to that. But
oh, I know,
dude. When I say I cried when I read that, I was like,
crying. I don't know. I just wished for a friend or something like that.
Don't even get me started.
Okay, what are you on?
Next page, 382. This is okay. So we're getting to
the best part ever.
Oh my word! Literally the best part. Okay, so my only note on that page was, it was so cute because it just said she reached for a bar of soap that smelled of sweet almonds. Really random, but I always know when people talk about smells, because I always see the same ones. It's always mint and flowers and cinnamon. That's all I see. Which I get it. Those are vanilla. I'm like, I get it. Those are common smells. But something that specific, I was like, oh, I love that. I love the smell of almonds. Yeah, it's so specific and cute.
And not like cliche.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh yeah, she smells like roses. Great.
Yeah. In the next page, to on the bottom. So sorry if I'm skipping a little bit. But
okay, I can go back.
He said, I liked when Cassian strode in with a tray of food in his hands,
so cute.
And then like halted when he didn't see her in the bed, and just like, I don't know, I could just like picture him like going in and just like take care of her, and I thought it was really sweet.
Really, I see him like coming in and he's like excited, but he doesn't see her and he halts. He's like, oh my god, where is she? Where is she? And then he's like,
where you go?
Yeah, the only ones I had before that were okay. So I really love this. This was probably one of my favorite things about her in the mask. So at the top of this page, she talks about how it had scared her more than anything else, the utter lack of feeling, how good it had felt to be so removed. I thought that was such an interesting thing to throw in with the mask. Like, I thought it was going to be, oh, she felt like she had power. She felt like she could control and do all this stuff. I thought that was going to actually draw her to be more powerful, to her powers. But the fact that she was so scared of not feeling anything at all, I was like, whoa. Like, that was such a contrast I didn't see coming. But I thought that made her so much more... Like, it shows her growth. It shows how interesting this is. Yeah. Because if she had discovered this early on, she would have been like, oh, I would let that envelop me. Because she did the drinking and the trying to like, shut everything off. Right. I thought that was fascinating. And then the next paragraph, it just said, Nesta swallowed. She hadn't confessed it to any of them. She'd been contemplating the mask when they'd found her in its room, contemplating that void. Wondering whether anyone had ever donned the mask not to raise the dead, but to simply stop being inside their own minds. It just broke my heart. Like, she doesn't even see this thing as this crazy powerful. Yeah. Like, she doesn't think of it as, look what I can do with this, kind of like Brialyn is. She's like, I can be powerful. But the fact that she's like, I wonder if I could just put this on and escape, just made me so sad but intense. And then, she goes on to describe it. It had been seductive, freeing, lovely. And then the second she knew that, she's like, it had to be destroyed, if only to save herself from it. Not even for like the powers, not even for all the destruction, but because she's scared that she might. And she's
mentioned that.
I feel like that's such growth. The fact that she's doesn't want to hurt anyone with.
Well, she's mentioned that before too, like how she didn't want to know like how to break that like ward or whatever against the mask or the harp. Yeah. Because she didn't want to ever use it. It was too powerful. She didn't want to use it against other people. She didn't want to be able to have that power, right? She was scared of like herself using it. And so the same thing kind of came up again with the mask. Like, I don't want this. I'm too scared of myself using it, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways,
and then Cassian comes in. Oh my goodness.
Cassian!
Okay.
I have a lot of underlines.
I have so many hearts and underlines.
He shook his head like a wet dog. I brought some food. I assumed you want dinner.
So cute.
And then let's see.
He knew her well enough to know that she didn't want to be there.
She wanted to unwind.
So he brought her food. Oh,
yes, I thought that was so cute.
Although I'm sure he's like, you can unwind with me.
Yeah, if you need company, like I'm here. And then like she surveyed him, surprised that he knew her well enough to guess that the thought of speaking to anyone or to everyone again, of dressing in suitable clothes was draining and miserable. Knew her well enough to grasp that she'd rather eat in her room and piece herself together.
So sweet. Obsessed.
And then
obsessed.
The sentence where he was like, right, and then cleared his throat. Enjoy your bath and the meal, and then kind of like
I love that
flustered and pushed away the shadows in her heart. Like I can just like picture Cassian just like being flustered and not knowing.
So adorable. Like, I love these moments. Again, it's like the big tough guy who's this huge dude holding a little tray. And he's like, like doesn't know where to walk. And again, that's why I totally love that she just said, thoughts of the mask became distant. Because hello, who wouldn't? Like you're so sad and distraught, and then this cute guy just comes and he's just all flustered and nervous, and you're like, oh. And I mean, again, her reaction is valid. She's like, you want to get in?
Yeah.
Join me.
Join me.
Like fair, you know. And then I like how she tries to be all like, oh, but everybody's like, no, you're literally hurt. Calm down. And she's like, no, it's fine, it's fine. And then top of 385, that first paragraph was, I love this.
Love this part.
I mean, I love this whole book and chapter. You know, it's just amazing. Okay. Yeah. With each uneven lift, she began to. Oh, I gotta skip that.
She began to what?
She was threatening to talk a lot to him. Yep. So. As if her body answered instead of her mouth. Yes. Because she wanted to speak. Yes. Yes, her body seemed to say this, him, life to drive away the mask, life to drive away the horror of Urid. The need to touch him, feel his warmth and strength pounded through her. If he wouldn't climb into the bath, then she'd have to go to him. I noted, so like Nesta started going to him. And I just wrote down that he immediately turns sweet. He's always sweet. He never like gives into any desires that are intense. He just says, I thought you were dead today. Like she's trying to play this card of like, oh, okay, let's distract each other. And then automatically he like sees her and he's just sweet and real.
And then she said, I thought you were dead too.
Yeah,
like,
it was so did I.
So just sweet.
And then
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got to the, it's just talking.
Yes, like we can't. It can never be anything more than.
And then Cassian said, "Right, just talking." But like, it kind of pained him.
It did, of course. His jaw tightened. He seemed to struggle with some internal battle.
Yeah, but he still didn't reach for her yet, though.
No, yeah,
not yet. I mean, he still didn't start. He didn't initiate the conversation.
Right. He's not like, I'm gonna talk first. I'm gonna let you explain. So he said, "I'll take whatever you offer."
Take whatever you offer me. Which I thought that was interesting, because I kind of picture Cassian being like, no, like it's gonna be everything or nothing.
Yeah, I did too for a while.
I kind of pictured that.
But then I started to realize that, but he kind of mentions like, I would take anything because any part of her would be better. But a part of me wonders if after because he knows her so well right now, I wonder if he literally thinks like she needs this.
Yes, he kind of knew like yes, she means this right now, but like, later down the future, I know like she doesn't mean that kind of. You know what I mean? So he probably knew like she needed this now. He does mean more to her than she's letting on. Yeah, and he even if he doesn't know that, I feel like he's fine. Which I think this is so sweet. He's fine offering her that vulnerability, even at risk of hurting himself. Yes, so sweet. Yes. I just did a lot of hearts on the next page.
Yeah. Well, I underlined the last line of that page of 385. Next page. Okay. That
That was
Oh my
good.
god, I actually have nothing underlined.
I don't have anything underlined. I just have hearts.
He's like, sometimes the way you look at me, and she's like, coercing him to tell her all the things.
Tell me everything.
She's like, can you explain all?
Over explain.
All of them? Literally all?
Explain all the things. Explain all of them.
Like, she didn't even hesitate before she said all.
Yes.
Yeah. And he began.
Yep.
And he was trying to get a reaction out of her in her conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whew.
And like, did you still like think about the conversation days later on page 387 at the top?
Wait, that's what I wrote. At the top of page 387, I wrote, damn, that's all I can say for this whole page. I couldn't.
Okay, I don't write anything for the next page either.
I have a few. Okay, let me get there. Man, okay, sorry. Okay, I can't read this right now.
They're
They're in the beginning of talking, right?
Right.
And they're thinking about all the things they're going to say to each other.
Yes.
I just wrote, where is it? Top of 388. How should I say this? They're talking, right? And she's thinking about where the conversation is going to go.
Okay.
And I like that she made a pass to grab his attention in one way, but he slanted his mouth over her. And I wrote that even though they're in this heated conversation, that he just kissed her and said it was a grazing, taunting kiss. So even though the conversation's already gone on for a couple pages,
so many pages,
kind of, he needs this little moment. I think
just
almost
like
for himself.
Slowing down the conversation because it was getting intense, and it was just that might not be good.
Right, you don't want to do too much too quick, because anyway. So at the bottom, one of my favorite lines in this, which I don't know if I'll keep this in, but was melting her body like a piece of chocolate on his tongue. He saw like what he said, right? The words were so sweet that it was like to her. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Great.
And then he talks about how I can do this. Talks about how
we're mature women.
Yes, we are adults. Okay. He says,
do you like
that
one?
Yep.
Do you like?
But then after that, he's like, you know what?
You converse like you do.
I was gonna say the words sounded so good on their lips that he was like, wow, this tastes like you enjoyed the conversation is enjoyable.
Yes. It was fantastic.
And then, may I just say, at the top of page 389, it just said 2, not 1. Like words. Yes, because he was saying, what did he say? I kind of forgot.
Because she was already kind of like waiting for
him to say something.
Yeah. But not just one conversation.
Yeah, she's like,
we need 2.
And he didn't need to ask her. No, she didn't even tell him that. He's like, I just know you need 2. Because
they've been waiting a while to have this conversation.
They have been. And he's so nice. And then he's like, well, how would you like the conversation, right? And she didn't want a simple conversation.
Do you want to go the easy way or the hard way with this conversation?
It's a good way of putting it.
Right.
He did say that.
It can go either way.
Yes. And they're on the same page, is what I'm saying.
Very much so.
They're on the same page.
Yep.
She hurt. But then, so this is probably the only time they stopped speaking. It just said she didn't want to hear the words. So he opened his mouth, which this was another cute moment of vulnerability. Because, again, they're already so far in the conversation. But right now she's sensing that he wants to say something that maybe means a little more.
Yeah.
And she's like, she didn't want whatever he'd been able to say. So then she kissed him. Just as a quick distraction.
Yeah, quick distraction.
Mid-conversation. That's just a quick little...
Yes.
Because sometimes when you're in the middle of talking, you just need a kiss.
Yep.
Otherwise, the conversation's not as good, I feel like.
Exactly.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe you prefer...
No.
You don't like conversationless kissing? I mean, kissing-less conversation. No. Kissless conversation.
No, I think the kisses help the conversation.
Me too. Kisses...
They can solve
all throughout
anything.
Yes. And they can be anywhere.
Yes. At any time.
In any place. And then they stop for a moment to keep to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
And she...
This is where the conversation gets really tough.
oh, it gets heated. See, it says fire erupted within her. Mm-hmm. And I think he was pushing the boundaries just an inch.
He entered this conversation in a very hard way.
Yes. He was...
Yep.
He knew it was going to be a hard conversation. He was ready to have it. But he's like, I don't want to push it. So I'm just going to go like an inch. And then...
Yeah, inch by inch.
Yes, but until she could handle it all, you know? But then at the bottom of that page...
More than 2.
Yes. At the bottom of that page, it says, his hesitation, his care, melted some ice-cold shard within her and made her snap free of any restraint.
Oh, that was really cute.
So he doesn't want the conversation to go crazy, right?
Right,
he's like,
he cares about her.
He does care about her, but I like that almost made her
it's
be
more
like...
than just conversation.
It is. It's a little extra. And she noticed that, and he noticed that, but I appreciate that, or I really enjoy the fact that her seeing a little restraint on him, she was like, oh, now we need to just have the conversation. We need to
let's get the conversation
she's
over
like,
with.
You know what? I know you've just been inching into the conversation, but she's like, I think we should just go all in. And he says he doesn't want
Thanks for being careful. Thanks for caring for me.
Yeah, and I like
we're about to have this.
And I like how he said, are you ready for this conversation?
Yes.
Like, I'll hurt you.
She's like, stop caring about me now.
Yeah. She's like, I don't care if the conversation hurts.
It's got to happen.
She was ready.
It's got to be done.
It has to be done.
It's got to finish at some point.
Everything has to finish at some point.
Yep.
And I think he'll be the one to finish it.
Yep.
So I actually thought this was such a sweet moment. Mm-hmm. Like, I like that, you know, he refused to move. And it's that sweet moment of he's like, Nesta, look at me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
Because she's trying to get lost in her head. Again, through the conversation, as many do.
And I'm sure, like, you know, this is their first, like, kind of harder, difficult conversation.
This is the first conversation that, like, went all the way.
Yeah, and so I'm sure, like, there's just, she's probably thinking, getting in her head, overthinking things, right?
Of course, as we all
do. And he probably is too. And so I'm sure there's a lot more conversation has to happen for the conversation. A lot more communication needs to happen during the conversation.
Exactly.
Because it's their first difficult conversation.
And so it's the first time the conversation went this far.
Yeah.
And they both want that, but he's definitely like, he definitely wants to appreciate it. He wants to savor this conversation as their first conversation, and it's just so sweet.
It's so sweet.
And then later on, a little down, it said the feeling of utter calm, utter fullness. Like, her heart was so full. Yeah. She was like, oh, he's so sweet for wanting this conversation.
And also, I'm sure Cassian wanted Nesta to know, like, you know how her past, like, history, she would just go from guy to guy to guy to guy? I'm sure Cassian was kind of like, I'm not one of those. Like, I'm not...
that's true.
I'm not gonna be a part of that, like, train of just...
Like, we're not just gonna have the conversation and not talk again.
This is different.
Right? Yes.
Right? Like, I truly care about you. You truly care about me.
I know. So cute.
And I'm sure when he said, like, look at me, like, it was kind of like, almost like humanizing.
It was. Because he's like, we're not distancing ourselves. We're actually going to come closer with this.
Yes.
I thought that was so beautiful. And for him to say that, so sweet.
Yeah. Okay, anyways, anything else?
You know, she just, the way it felt when they were speaking, she said nothing had ever felt like this. Nothing. And I actually wrote down that that's probably because they're mates.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. Obviously, they probably
alert.
Saw that coming.
We saw that coming from a mile away.
Literally.
But...
no other option. I thought maybe for a minute it might not be, but I kind of saw.
I figured when he even first met her.
Right, literally.
I was like, there's no way
literally
that Sarah would be like pointing this out
that
so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just wrote that down.
That was kind of an obvious one, but also like not obvious enough. Where like you would question yourself, right? Like it did make you question, like, are they actually mates? Yeah. But it was obvious enough to where you would kind of figure that they would be.
Which I like. I needed to know.
Yeah. I needed to know
together,
real bad.
Otherwise.
I got to a point where if they weren't mates, I would have cried. So.
I would have burned this book.
Yeah.
And so as they're in the conversation, she halted and was like, okay. She wanted to know that he was at her command. And if she wanted to stop there, it would. But just when he thought she wanted to end the conversation, she goes, no.
Ooh, yep.
Let's go deeper.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you're in the middle of talking, you're like, this was nice.
Yes, but like, let's skip the small talk.
Yeah, let's, you know.
I want that deeper conversation.
Let's go so deep that like we're gonna like everything else just erases, disappears.
Yep.
And nice reaction. He clearly agrees. Yes, right.
Yes,
like
he very much agrees.
Almost no. It's on the next page.
Yep. Me neither.
I like how at the bottom of the page, basically, again, she's like, this conversation was too good, and it felt too good, and nothing, and no one would ever compare to it. This was at the end of their conversation, so they're just like reflecting, and he's like, oh, it's what a messy convo, and she's like, well, I liked it. And he's like, okay.
Wait, which are you on? 393 or 392?
93.
Okay, well, first I really loved when he said it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
I know. So cute. He's talking about her, right? Like her face. Like he was looking at her.
Her personality.
Oh, I like the whole thing before that of I shouldn't enjoy seeing that so much.
Oh my gosh, yes. Loved that. And then when he said, I'm beyond lies right now, Nesta.
Oh my word, that was definitely one of my top lines in this whole book. I
so cute.
Loved this line. I was like, excuse me.
And then when he like got up and left, and he was like, just conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after when he was leaving, he said, "Thanks for the ride, Ness."
Like, thanks for the talk. Like, it's been good, but bye bye.
It's been good, but I'm out of here.
My only other thing on that page was like, well, I liked how he's like, we're just talking, right? And she's like, oh, it's a trap somehow. But even before that, so sweet. So, she looked over at him, over her shoulder, just because she just turned around from the conversation. Yes. She's like, oh, I'm just gonna face this way because we talked so much. I need a second.
Yeah.
But then it was like it was utterly devastated, as if she'd taken it apart and left, as if she'd taken him apart and left him in ruin. Oh, that just like it makes me want to. Okay. And then, but then so after he like leaves, even though they both knew that this was all going to be conversation, yes, she kind of spurred this on herself, but I still felt bad that she said, like, was he punishing her by like, what was this? And I just put that, she started to doubt her worth again. And again, some of it was, she did spur this on herself. She did say, let's keep it just to this. Yeah. But the sad that she was still doubting all of it, which is sad that she would doubt Cass, because she's like, and then on the next page, it just says, was he trying to demonstrate what she'd done to all those males? And I thought that was sad that in her mind she was like, is this my punishment? I'm like, aw.
Yeah. And then she's like, I thought it would at least come with some cuddling.
I know. Right, because after a good talk and kiss, who doesn't want to cuddle?
Like, once you get in very deep conversations, you just want to, you're so vulnerable and you just want to cuddle a little bit,
No, I agree.
But then she said the silence was her only answer. Yeah. The silence, though,
silence,
and not the darkness.
Not the darkness. So it's like, it's creeping back in, but she's not completely immobile to it.
Yeah. We finished the chapter.
Oh my word, this took forever, but it's okay. Ready?
Chapter 38. I think the other chapters will kind of go by a little faster now, because that was just such a good chapter.
Yeah, because when you have a good talk, like, you can't help but, take all that time. Okay, my notes for this were post-convo, and then they just talk about Valkyrie methods, and then I wrote LOL, but I don't know if that's what I'm thinking it is or not, but
okay, so
it might be.
I just love Emery and Nesta's little conversation here. Like,
so cute! Oh my word!
You had a conversation with him, didn't you?
She's like, clearly you guys talk things through.
And then she was like, because you and Cassian have been exchanging looks all morning. And I thought that was cute that, like, Emery noticed it.
No, I literally wrote down that, like, girls notice. Your girlfriends will notice this not. I don't even know why Nesta's, she's like, we have not.
Yeah. And
then Gwen jumps in, she's like, yes, you have.
Yes, you have. Okay. They're the cutest, like, trio.
Love them more than
ever.
anything.
And then...
Oh, the next page. I have,
go.
I have one in the kind of bottom middle.
Yeah.
Nesta grew still as Cassian's gaze met hers. The space between them went taut. The sounds of the exercising priestesses falling into nothing. The sky in, azure? The sky and azure blur above. The wind a distant caress on her cheek. Like, I love the imagery of everything. Nothing but the two of them looking at each other. Oh, so cute. And they expect no one to notice. That was funny.
And then when she said she lost count 3 times when she was doing
the
exercises.
If you need to have trouble concentrating, like nothing. But
let's see.
I like that literally at the next page. She had to force herself to quiet her mind. She was like, oh.
When Gwen said, like, it might help your ... concentration. like the way that was said. And then at the end, Cassian said, "Do you three want to gossip or train?"
Yep.
Like he knew exactly probably what they were talking about.
And I love that after that, Nesta's like, "Don't tell him, it's our secret." But and wouldn't Cassian be surprised when she was the unflappable one?
Yep.
So cute. Does she really find him unflappable? Hello. Everything makes him like so cute.
Yeah. Let's see. Anyone on that or any underlines on that one? I underlined the bottom one, the bottom part.
I'm trying to think.
Oh wait, I'm not gonna say that part, but I underlined it.
Oh yeah, Cassian's like, "Is there something more interesting than training?" And they're like, "No, not at all." And then Cassian's like, "Yes." And then they just dropped down and started doing their exercise. Like nothing. I just love this little. Me too. That was so perfect.
So funny.
And then they banter like, "Well, did you?"
Yep.
Whatever. Wait, are you at the bottom of 398?
The last paragraph.
Oh my word.
I was like gonna start reading that, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't read that paragraph.
I'll read the last line. I just like how there. Okay.
The last line I also underlined. You've certainly been productiveness. Mm-hmm. And then she swallowed, and the two females beside her were eating up every word. I can just imagine like Emery and Gwen just like giggling. They're like trying to do their exercises. But, doing some push-ups and trying not to laugh.
Oh my word! Oh, this is why I thought this chapter was so funny because.
Are you gonna read?
Yes, I'll read it. Why not? Okay. So she swallowed and knew the two females beside her were eating up every word, but she lifted her chin. "When do we get to do something of use? When do we start on archery or swords? You think you're ready to handle a sword?" Emery let out a fizzing noise but kept working. Nesta refused to smile, to blush, and said without breaking... She said this without breaking his stare. So she's looking him dead in the eye and she says, "Only you can tell me that." And then his nostrils flared.
Get up.
Oh my goodness, so cute.
That was like the best interaction.
So funny.
Ever.
I love this. This is so just relatable. I am obsessed with this. Oh, and then he talks about like, hearing the innuendo like a sizzling flame. He couldn't for the life of him remember like why he would think this was a mistake.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So cute. And then they start.
Best conversation he's ever had.
Literally, he's like, this conversation was so good that I don't know why I would think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they start sword training.
Yep.
And then using little fake swords, which is funny. And then I like how he's like, "You're not ready for this. This is like real death." And then he said it took him 7 years before he had one, and they were all surprised. And
when you said if you were too childish to talk about blades without giggling, you're not ready for sword.
I was like, not true. I can be silly and ready at the same time, whatever. Right. And then the whole bottom of the 400, I just wrote, just so funny. So he's like, "The real sword's way more." I said, "Really?" He's like, "Yes, double-handed grip on the hill. Don't choke up too close to the
Emery began coughing and Nesta's mouth twitched and she held it on it. It's like when you're in class and you're trying to laugh and you're trying not to laugh.
It's literally the don't look at the person, don't look at the person.
And even Cassian had to tamp down a laugh before he could just
So cute. I love them all so much. And then he's like, whatever, go back. And then right before the break, that this moment with these priestesses watching was pivotal, somehow vital. I do like how they still mention how important the training is to them. And I love, again, that even in the training, like, they're having fun with it. Like, it's so sweet that they found comfort in this, but they're also just liking it. I think it's so sweet.
Yeah, they're getting stronger and having fun and making friends. Friends.
Anything else on this page? They just keep training.
That was it for me.
Okay, next page, 402. My favorite. So sweet. Okay, so they're doing the movements, and then he just says, "Good, Nesta." Again, it's just so cute. Just
it's like a moment of like, "I'm proud of you."
And the words of affirmation, hello.
Yes.
And then she starts talking about how it like makes her, and then this was just so beautiful. So it makes her stronger, and they start to like feel that. And she just said, "It echoed with every inhale, every thrust and block. Never again," till the words just kept like going in her.
Yeah.
And then the one I underlined that I loved the most was, "Never again would she fail."
Yes, I loved that whole like, "Never again would she, never again would she." Like, it was just so good. And even
like the mental and the physical going
she said,
together.
Every hated enemy, every moment that she'd been powerless against them simmered to the surface. And then at the next page, no fear shown in her eyes. And as if they too saw what Cassian did, and if they too heard those words within Nesta's head, never again.
So cute. I love them so much. I love that they're all going through the same thing. Yeah, because less conversation.
There's not much to converse about.
Chapter 39.
That was a really
beautiful. Do you have notes for this one?
Not too many. I just had some, like, she went straight to the stairwell.
Yep.
Oh, this is why I underlined it. Straight to the outside stairwell.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Outside stairwell.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote steps and then training. And I said, hello, Gwen.
Oh, yeah, duh. Cliff notes, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Those are my only cliff notes. Was stairs. And then the beginning of Az and Gwen. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yes.
I'm so excited. And then I just wrote meditation because that's kind of what they do.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay.
But yes, I underlined it outside stairs.
Outside stairs.
So now I'm just confused on it all.
I just hate everything.
Whatever.
We're just going to ignore that. But she reached 6,000.
Yes.
I can't even imagine in my head what that would feel like.
Insanity.
I never want to know.
But she did it. She reached it. Let's see. I can't remember why I underlined that part.
Well, she starts talking about...
Oh, he hadn't sought her out that night. Decided to sleep at the river house rather than risking the conversation temptation.
Right, because you don't want to talk to someone too much in the beginning.
Right.
I feel like then you're going to like run out of things later, you know? Yeah, she'd consume him entirely.
This was good. Like it was like pouring rain, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't think that people would show up. And they were all there, all 11 soaked females waiting like troops to be commanded on the battlefield.
Do you know what else I marked? I wrote that Gwen was in Illyrian
Yes,
leathers.
yes, I marked
She
that
hadn't changed yet, and this was such a big
Nesta's
step for
old
Gwen.
ones.
And I was so happy for her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I think we need another tutor. So cute. And then I just put a heart.
I just could like picture him just like surveying it and just feeling so proud.
I know.
And looking at Nesta and just being like you did this.
Like, look what we've accomplished.
Yes.
I know he's just happy to be a part of it. Oh, and Az is here finally.
But then I was like, I was happy that Cass acknowledged like he should have asked her if she'd feel comfortable with Azriel here.
Honestly, I was surprised he didn't. I'm not gonna lie. For a second, I think he was he was too caught up and
probably forgot about it. I mean, not forgot about it, but just kind of like you know.
Or he's just seen their progress. He's like, okay, they're doing good. So I thought that was really sweet that he did and noticed that she'd been distracted. Yeah. But it just said Gwen had been distracted today, one eye on the other side of the ring. So yeah, it was sweet that he noticed that. Yeah. But yeah, so Az was the one who found her in Sangerva. And I know, so interesting, but so sad. Like that was how they started.
We hear more about that, don't we, at the end? Yeah.
We hear more. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And then let's see. So we concentrate on the females in front of him, and then so we talk about hitting, blah blah blah. But then he took her hand because he's like, if you hit the right spot, you can knock anyone unconscious. Yeah. So Cassian took Nesta's hand, placing it on his neck. Her fingers were so small against his and freezing cold. He might have run his thumb over the back of her hand before he positioned the fingers. You know, might have just done a little whatever. And then he goes, so he's like, okay, go for here, hit it hard enough. And then Nesta's fingers tightened and he grabbed her hand, but she smirked as if knowing she'd caught him. He squeezed her chilled fingers. I know what you were thinking. So he's like, I knew you were going to do it. I thought that was so cute. He was like, so here's how you knock someone out. And then he holds her hand. He's like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Because Nesta knocked out Gwen, like when they were doing the Ramiel thing. Not Ramiel.
Oh, yeah.
The blood right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she was like Cassian taught me. And I was like, I forgot when Cassian taught her.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Oh, this was so cute. She's like, I would never.
Like,
me hurt you. And then he winked.
Yeah.
All right.
So cute.
Like back. So yeah, then they just keep training. Nope.
4-7? I don't either.
Nope. They just keep training. Same with the next.
I think it's so funny with this part when they started doing those breathing exercises. Peaches.
Hi, baby.
I thought it was so funny. I can just picture them all having their eyes closed, and Gwen is just like, I can feel you overthinking this.
I know.
Close your eyes and keep breathing.
So you can feel the tension.
Yeah.
Although I did notice at the bottom of 408, it should put Gwen was probably good at this. Gwen was good at everything. Actually, it didn't irk her though. For whatever reason, Nesta wanted to crow whatever about her friend to anyone who'd listen. And when I first read this, her friend, I cried. Yes, I literally cried reading this because again, it was that real like good friendship of like you're not jealous of each other, you really want what's best, and you're like genuinely proud to have them as a friend. And I was like, so cute.
It's so cute, and Nesta deserves that.
I know, and they deserve it too. They deserve each other, and I just am obsessed with them. Their friendship is so.
Oh yeah, your thoughts are the surf. Let them crash over you.
I have the rock against which the surf crashes. Beautiful. Yes. Yeah, she says, don't dwell on it. Yeah. Dwell on it. Acknowledge it. I thought that was beautiful. This was very
easy enough. It wasn't.
Yes, no. You know what?
The first few times
we were in Carolina. JJ walked me through a meditation, and it was so cool. So when she's here, I wanted to do it for us.
Sure.
It was like I was kind of skeptical. I was like, oh, I'm sure, whatever. But after that, and then I was rereading this literally after she did it, and I was like, oh, I see now why it's cool. Like people always talk about it.
And the rock against which the surf crashes. I saw this one Instagram reel where they were like, you know, most people think that this book is about like smut, fairy smut,
Right,
whatever.
exactly.
And then she's like, it skipped to the part where she was doing like some meditation or yoga, and it was like, but this is how I see it. I am the rock against which the surf crashes.
No, literally. When I tell you that the reason this book is my favorite, yes, it's fun, yes, it's romantic, yes, it's this, but the fact that I've actually cried in this book more than other, like, and I've marked parts that I literally go back to when I need a good cry, because it's honestly, and it's weird to say that this book has actually healed a part of me that I didn't know I needed, and I felt so, like, seen and heard through this character, and that's why it's so beautiful. So I marked kind of the ending of 4-9 leading on to the next, because leading on this whole next page, when I first read it, I just cried, and so she said, what would Elaine think to see Nesta here with a friend? The thought bubbled up from nowhere, as if in opening her mind, would Elaine be pleased, or would she feel the need to warn Gwen about Nesta's true self? And then she said, start all over if you lose count. So it's breathing, and then I acknowledge this thought, I'm letting it go.
I think that's so good. That's such a good mindset. I acknowledge this and I'm letting it go.
Exactly. I love that we can't always control our thoughts, but we can control where we put them. We can control where they go. Yeah. And then at the very end, she just said, do as you want, mine. Go drift into those dark, horrible places. It didn't, though.
But it didn't. I thought that was so good.
And then she just stilled. A few moments passed before Gwen whispered, begin to sink back into... And then they ended. But yeah, I actually cried at that. Like, this whole page, at the very end, I was crying. And this is one of the pages that I go back to occasionally.
Like her body was calm. It was distant. For the first time in her life, she felt utterly settled into her own skin.
I know. Oh,
so good.
This is kind of a little different, but I feel like, I don't remember the exact age, but I remember I reached an age where I feel like I felt more comfortable in myself more than like any time in my past. And not that I'm always like that consistently, not like I'm confident and this all the time, but
just
like, like more so than ever in my life am I at an age where like I don't know, you know how terrible teenage years are? Like all you are is like thinking about everyone else and everything else and how you look and how everyone else looks and just how people see you. And she's kind of talking about how like, oh, well, how would my sister perceive me right now? This and this, but like to let that go and just say, you know what, this is who I am right here, right now. I'm comfortable with this. It's not easy sometimes,
and
but
comfortable with it not being easy. Comfortable with it, like you being uncomfortable sometimes.
Exactly.
Being insecure sometimes.
Like allowing the bad feelings to come, but not letting it,
you know.
Yeah, take over everything. Yeah. It's beautiful.
All right. Last chapter.
My word. Yay! We made it. Chapter 40. Can you believe how far we've gotten? This is about halfway.
So
Look at that. Yay. Oh my word. Okay,
right,
cliff notes. I just wrote swords. So cool. I love this. Yes. And then I just wrote silver flames. Yes. And then Lucian kind of pops up in this.
Lucian has like not really been a thing for a little while. Yeah.
So this was so cool. Okay. It was raining. Cassian took her to this.
This is the blacksmith?
Yes, this is the blacksmith. That's so cool. Okay. But it's so sweet, her interaction, because so he introduced them, and then Cassian tried not to show his surprise at her polite words, the hint of deference. And also to me, I feel so at peace with the fact that Nesta just went through this training, this meditation, this everything, and a part of her, I feel like, has already calmed with how she's treating other people. She doesn't meet someone new, especially she's a man, and is cut off. She's just like, I'll be like normal,
she's learning
polite.
To love like how she's treating others. Because I know like when she was like kind of going through like you know her things or whatever, drinking whatnot, she hated how she was treating people. Yeah. And she said that a couple times.
But I also didn't mind the way she was perceived to like the Fae. Because when she was a human, I understood like, okay, she's perceived as weak and she's making herself look stronger. But then she was always, like they said, she was always bored, indifferent, didn't show any emotion. And to me, to some of them, I was like, well, some of them deserved it because they got put in their place, whatever. But there were a couple times where I'm like, this is just a nobody person, and this is just kind of whatever to them. Which like to each his own. But I like that she's trying to, you know, I don't need to just be mean to the stranger or like whatever. And I like how like the cause and effect, like he did that or she did that and the guy just kind of nicer. And but then, you know, Cassian talked about like, should they have more conversations? He'll let her, because, you know, if she wanted him again to talk, then he'd be there. I'm next on 416.
416? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, 416?
Yeah.
Okay. Dang. Wow. I didn't know you were that far.
Oh, well, just... What did I skip one?
I think you might have.
I did. Okay. Let's go back. I just skipped that. Thank you.
On the bottom of 414.
Okay.
When the coals popped in the forge behind them and Nesta flinched. Before Cassian could ask why, she gritted her teeth again and struck the sword a third time, fourth bit. I actually forgot about her, like, fire thing.
Oh, sure.
Like how she's like scared of the fire like crackling and whatnot. Like it
where is that?
Her dad's neck. It's the.
Oh, I see. Go on. Sorry.
Second paragraph from the bottom. I kind of forgot about that, and I know when farther into the book when she finally tells Cassian about like her like fear of like the fire crackling and whatnot. He refers back. He was like, that's why, like at the blacksmith, she like kind of flinched at that, like, you know, the coals popping.
Yeah.
And whatnot,
oh, that's
and
true.
asked to be moved into a different spot. Like she has to be moved into like a less warm spot.
Yeah.
And I just didn't catch that at first until I read that, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
That's funny. Before that, I also said Cassian never heard the male speak so gently. So that was the reaction of like her being polite, and he's just gentle and sweet. Kind of forgot that. But at that point, like, she flinched. Yeah. But she kind of like kept going. Like I think this is the first time she was kind of taking it out on something, and I thought that was growth, but it was.
Yeah, like at the next page, like strike after strike, Cassian could have sworn the world paused, and she unleashed herself with the same intensity she brought to training. She took it out in a healthy way. Just like,
exactly. It wasn't on someone else. It wasn't even on this guy, because she could have. It was in a very and so the paragraph right before that, I like how he said, "Pride wended through his chest. Yeah. Here she was, the female who had been forged during the war with Hibern, but different, more focused, stronger." And the one thing I really wanted to note here was he says different, not that she and herself is different. She's herself. She's just stronger and focused. She's herself. I think
love that.
I don't like love stories where it's like one person really changes and then the whole new person and they're in love. And I was like, well, you know, and
really
again,
work like that.
and reading the book I'm reading now, the really dark one, he's very, very, very dark, right? And he even says, like, I want you to fall in love with the darkest parts of me. And to me, he does a lot of questionable things. But I actually, in the overall sense of the term, actually kind of like that. I like that when you fall in love with someone, especially commit, like, lifelong to them, I'm like, that's true. You need to love, not that you need to accept it and let them, you need to love all the parts. Not that you need to, you know, encourage them to be bad or whatever, but it's like, loving them despite this, or loving them through this, and loving them as they are now, whether they get better or worse. I think there's something so beautiful about that, because I think a lot of people enter relationships thinking of what could be and what might be, instead of thinking like, yes, but do you love this person how they are now? Like, do you love them?
Not because they might change later in the future.
Not because but when we're married it'll be different.
It'll be different then.
Exactly. It'll always the ifs and the maybes.
For sure.
But it's like the fact that he loved her even then when she was that. And now he's proud. He doesn't say that he loves her more. He just says he's proud of that. And I thought that was so sweet. And then after that strike for strike, it said the blacksmith smiled at her. The first time Cassian had ever seen the male do so.
Oh, cute.
Oh, Nesta's like bringing out.
Yeah.
And then let's see. She pounded the sword to a music no one but she could hear. Cassian let her keep at it, the rain and wind rustling. The thatched roof a distant counterbeat above them, and began to wonder what would emerge from the heat and shadows. I kind of underlined that because this is crazy. I feel like,
began to wonder.
And this is a theory I want to discuss later, but I feel like Cassian has so much more power than we think. This is not even the second time. This is one of the multiple times where Nesta or Reese has done something and Cassian kind of noticed it or wondered what would come from it, or just let it kind of, he mentioned like he let it wash over him, and that's just something so interesting to me. So I liked that.
I think it'd be so crazy though if he did have like another power, because I'm like, after 500 years, how has he not like?
I know, but again, like I discussed in my theory, if he is related to some other whatever, I bet he does. But then what if it's being suppressed by the siphon thing?
Could be.
So cool. So cool. Okay.
But then, let her initiate the conversation again.
Yes.
If she wanted to.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, if she wanted to. And I just put, if. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Yeah. If someone has a conversation that good, do you really think they're not going to want another one? I mean, hello. It's so hard to find someone to have good conversation with.
Exactly.
They're not just going to only have one and done. Hello.
And then kind of Nesta's point of view, like how she said it felt good to channel it that way versus like channeling it out on people and drinking and whatnot. So
yeah, I do love that. I love how she's pointing out these things and she notices it and she's like being
it felt good to channel it that way, you know.
Not like it was different or I don't know if but it was like it felt good to where maybe she'd even Do that. I love, so they're training again with the priestesses. I love how she's like, Azriel's presence helped.
Yes.
He now trained the newest recruits, blah, blah,
Yes,
blah.
love this part.
But then she'd swear at least 2 of the priestesses, Rosalind and Alana, sighed every time you walked past. And I literally wrote down, well, duh. I mean, hello. These girls are locked up in a room with a bunch of girls and they see Az of all people. I was like, woof. But that was so cute. That
and how she was like, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Some awful part of her was glad they didn't side over Cassian. She's like, that pathetic, selfish thought. But she's like, well, you know. However, it was just sad, though, that she's letting, again, this is her letting more thoughts come through. She could have just left it there like, oh, I'm glad they're not fawning over Cassian. But she just said, just as all of her was pathetic and selfish and hateful. But then she releases it. 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. And she punched and punched and released it there.
She channeled all that.
Yeah.
Out in there.
I think that's beautiful.
And then Lucian showed up.
And then Lucian.
And, I love when Lucian was kind of like, not like making fun of her, but just like, I don't know, like, teasing her kind of.
A little bit.
Which
I was honestly a little surprised because everyone's so scared of her and he's just like, oh. I'm like, is it because he's hanging around the people? I love
when, again, Cassian, I was always defending her, like, did you think she was filing her nails?
Yeah, for real. It's like, they said training.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
But Nesta's in the zone. So when he comes in, Nesta's in the zone. She had even said Nesta hadn't even noticed. Like, so he comes in, and then, but I like how he noticed. So he said she'd gone into a place Cassian knew too well, where thought and body became one. Oh, yeah. So she literally just entered that place, and he noticed it immediately. Yes, immediately. So sweet.
And then also, like, she's not a carnival attraction.
For real. Yeah, he's so sweet and defensive of her, but not in an overpowering way, which is my absolute favorite. Like, Cassian, you are the man.
This was so cool.
So cool. Oh
how, like, the silver flames, like, started showing up.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then when Lucian said, like, mother spare you all.
Yes. I just love this imagery because, he said, mother spares you all. He walked over to the beam, a small disc lay in the center, through the padding, all the way to the wood itself. It glowed. Crazy. He raised shaky fingers to it, so he's still freaked out. Like, I love how no matter what, Nesta's power scares the crap out of everyone because they are so confused. He touched his palm to it. The wood was cold as ice.
Interesting.
Chills. And then Lucian ending it, how everyone feels, and just mother spare you all. My goodness, we did it! Oh my word! I'm so excited for the next part. Next, we see Helion come in.
Yes.
I'm so excited for that. I love that part too.
I'm kind of a Helion fan.
I kind of am too. Also, my favorite joke in the whole book is in that chapter.
Helion is pretty funny.
So excited.
He's pretty funny.
He's actually better than I expected. Yeah. So I kind of totally forgot him in the last book. So I kind of have to like re-look up parts of him. But
what court is he from again?
The Dawn Court. Remember?
The Dawn. That's right. I think I just forget about the Dawn Court.
Me too. I kind of forget because there's Day Court and Dawn Court and Night Court. So I forget about that. But we did it. Yay! All right. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Join us next week and keep listening along to our snippets because we'll have fun about it soon.